Today I'm going to show you how to make a Postum cake. Now, if you're not familiar with Postum, it's a coffee substitute that was developed back in the 40s during the wartime, maybe late 30s, I'm not sure about that. I'll link to all that information so you can go see. So I actually did a video about why I drink Postum. I use Postum instead of coffee in the morning to drink, and I did a video about that last January. I will link to that so you can go see more of my reasons why. But after I posted that video, the kind folks at Postum reached out to me and they said they really enjoyed the video and they'd like to send me some Postum. So they did. They sent me the original variety is what I drink, and they sent me a lot of that. They also sent me, they make a natural coffee, so they sent it. It's caffeine free. And then they sent a cocoa blend, which is very good, and they sent me some of those. In addition to being so kind to send me those different varieties to try and some of the one that I really love and drink every day, the original version, they also sent me an old recipe for Postum cake. Well, I thought, this, it's probably okay, but I don't know. But I felt like I should make it anyway, even though I had doubts about whether or not I would like it. So I made it, and we loved it. All of us loved it. Corey loved it so much that she declared it her favorite dessert ever. So it just turned out to be so very tasty. So even though I had my doubts, I'm really happy that they sent me the recipe and that I give it a try. So it's a recipe, a cake recipe that's pretty easy to whip up. And I'm going to go over the directions as usual like I do and tell you the ingredients. But if you look in the description below, I will put a link to the recipe so it's easier for you to jump over and actually copy it down or write it down if you'd like to, or look at it closer. So let me get my book. So this is for the cake part, and then I'll go over the frosting. 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 cups of sugar, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 3 tablespoons of Postum. Now, I imagine you could use any of those varieties, the different flavors that I just shared, but I used the original version since that's what I had on hand. Since that's what I was so used to drinking every day, that was the one that I thought I would try, so I did. A 1/2 cup of buttermilk, 2 sticks of butter, 2 eggs, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and 1 cup of boiling water. That's for the cake. We'll go over the frosting when I make it in a little bit. And the original recipe also, I used the frosting that came with the recipe, and I really liked it, so I don't think I would use anything else. But it did say that if you didn't want to use that frosting, chocolate buttercream went really well with this recipe. So the first thing we're going to do is it's a few different bowls, and then you combine it all together. So the first steps are that we're going to put our flour, and I've already got all my stuff measured out here. We're going to add it to a bowl. We're going to add our sugar, and we're going to add the salt. I think that's salt. Okay, and we're going to give that a good stir. Then I've got my butter melting. You melt your 2 sticks of butter, so I've got it melted, and I'm gonna step over here and grab my pan that it's in. I won't be grabbing it like that. That's hot. I've also got my cup of boiling water. You can see. Let me get me another thing to set it on. So I'm going to take my Postum and I'm going to add it to my boiling water, which is what I do every morning when I actually drink my cup of Postum. Mix it up. Smells good. Now I'm going to add the melted butter to the Postum mixture. Get my pan here. Ooh, and I almost lose my book. And in a separate bowl, I'm going to add my buttermilk. I've got it. My eggs. My baking soda. And the vanilla. I'm going to use my whisk. A lot of people ask me about this whisk. Well, let me finish this and then I'll show you. It's a Rada whisk, and it's kind of triangular shape, so it works really well to get into the corners of bowls or pans or pots or whatever it is that you're kind of whisking up. And I really like it. I've had it for years. So you can see it's kind of a triangular shaped. Okay, now we're going to get our bigger bowl. I'm going to put the flour mixture in it. And then I'm going to add the Postum butter mixture. Looks real chocolatey, even though of course it's not chocolate, it's Postum. Now with the sugar mixture being in there with the flour and that hot water hitting it, kind of gives it a caramely smell. Probably because I use raw sugar instead of white sugar, but either would work. I'm sure even coconut sugar would be great. So now that I've got that stirred up, all that's left to do is add our egg buttermilk mixture. You could use a mixer if you want to get your mixer out, but it's pretty easy just to mix it all up by hand. Now we've got it mixed. I'm going to get my cake pans. You could certainly pour this into a large rectangular pan. I'm sure you could even put it in a loaf pan if you wanted to, but this is what the original recipe suggested and what I do. So I like to use parchment paper with when I'm making cakes or breads, just because it's easier to pull them out. And you can get these little rounds that fit perfectly down inside your cake pan, so I like to use them. They're fairly inexpensive in that they come in a huge pack, and so it lasts you a long time for sure. So I just put them down in the middle, and you can grease the sides of the pan. I've already done that. And then once they're in there, I just need to pour my batter in. Let's see, I'm about even. I always have a terrible time getting them even. You're probably better at that than I am. But I worry way more about what things taste like than how they look. And then once you frost it, you don't really notice anyway. Or at least I don't. Okay, now I'm going to bake these at 350 for about 25 to 30 minutes, or your oven may be different, but just you bake them till they're done. But I usually start looking at them at about 20-25 minutes. So now it's time to make the frosting. You can use whatever frosting you prefer, but I really like the recipe that come with the cake recipe, so that's what I'm going to use. So I have 1 1/2 sticks of softened butter. I've let it set out the whole time I was making the cake, so I've got it in the mixer. It calls for 2 tablespoons of Postum, so I have that ready. 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 4 tablespoons of heavy cream, and then it says 2 cups of powdered sugar, but I found the best way to do is to just kind of add a little bit at a time until it gets to the kind of the spread and consistency you prefer. I think most of the time when I've made it, I end up using about 1.5 cups, but the weather might make a difference in that, or your personal preference. So I would just kind of add the powdered sugar a little at a time till it gets to where you like it. But basically you just mix it all together in a mixer, so it's really easy. Okay, now we're ready to frost the cake. Now, there's all kinds of people out there who are expert cake frosters, putting the icing on the cake. I am not one of them. I never have been. I've never been good at frosting cakes. So a lot of times what I do, instead of trying to, because I don't have the patience to actually go around the sides, I frost this part of the cake, then I put the extra layer, the next layer on, and then I frost the top, and I don't even frost the sides. So that's how I'm going to do today. But if you're one of those people that's really good at putting frosting on a cake, please do it ever how you would want to. And I have found that this recipe doesn't really make a lot of frosting, but again, it might just be that I'm not an expert, not one of those people that's really good about actually frosting a cake. So I don't know if it makes just enough and I'm just not good enough to do it, or you know, which it is. But you should definitely frost it any way you prefer. I just go the easy route of doing it this way. It's really a pretty frosting though, because it has the little specks in it. I guess even though this is not coffee, it does have kind of a rich, kind of a coffee taste, but also like a caramel taste is what I think of when I eat it. Okay, now I'm ready to add the next layer. Whoops, I'm making a mess, which is also something I always do, is make a mess when I'm cooking. If you are interested in trying something new, now the holidays are coming up, this might be a cake recipe you would want to try. It kind of has that really richness to it that makes you think of special occasions. And although I've never been good at frosting cakes, like I said, and I do worry more about how things taste in general than how they look, so it's never really bothered me. And most of the time I'm cooking for my family and they're easy to please. But in the last several years I did get this little, and it's just a very cheap offset spatula, and oh my goodness, that just made the world of difference. Up until then, if I was frosting this, I would just be using a spatula, and this works so much better. So there are tips and tricks to help you out there if you're one of those people that know them. I'm sure you know way more than I do, but even this was a game changer for me. Okay, now that we've got it frosted, let me wash my hands and we'll see how it tastes. Okay, I'm going to cut me a piece. So it is a pretty cake, even though I take the easy way out and don't frost the sides. It's still pretty. And you could decorate it with, thinking of fall, it has those beautiful fall colors. You could decorate it with different things, and that would be nice. It's really a moist cake. A big light over here and really hold it on top of it when we do it. Okay, see how it tastes, which I know it's going to be good. It is very moist, very moist. If I had to say an overwhelming flavor, I would say caramel. There is a touch of the coffee though. It's one of those cakes with a really soft crumb. It's really soft, the cake part. Very rich. Like I said, again, makes you think of the special holidays, whether it's Thanksgiving or Christmas or If you're a caramel or a coffee fan, you would really enjoy this. Very good. So, now you may be wondering, where in the world do you find Postum? I can find it at my local grocery store, Ingles. Ingles carries it. You can order it directly from the Postum folks, so I'll be sure to put that link in the description below. And I think that you can also order it like on Amazon and maybe even on other places online. The times that I've talked about it on my blog, Blind Pig and the Acorn, or in the video that I said I would share with you that I did last January, people really have fond memories of this because it was kind of a coffee substitute during the wartime when, you know, things were rationed. People become accustomed to it like I have, and they become attached to it. So then even after times were better, maybe their grandparents, they'll tell me my grandparents still used Postum. They still drank Postum every day and they had it at their house. So there's all kinds of like nostalgic memories for people. And I really like that, of course, because now I'm a Postum drinker. I'm going to have my own nostalgic memories. And my girls don't drink it, and Matt doesn't drink it. But now that I've got this wonderful recipe that they shared with me, the kind folks there shared with me, they're going to have their own Postum memories. So I kind of like that. I'm a very sentimental person, so I like thinking about things like that, how things connect. You know, the big picture is wonderful too, but I like those little bitty connections that we all find in our lives. So I hope you enjoyed learning how to make a Postum cake. If you make one, I hope you enjoy it as much as me and my family do. As always, I hope you'll drop back by often to help me celebrate Appalachia, which is a lot of wonderful, tasty foodways like this cake, but also those wonderful connections I was talking about. Appalachians are family-centered. If you're part of a family, you've got all kinds of stories that you like to share and tell and retell, and we know each other's stories by heart, but we still like to know about them. And we are definitely storytellers pretty much from the time we're born and learn how to talk.